Today is Saturday, the 26th of January, 2019. I'm Keith Warr, and welcome to another episode of Homeless in Titusville. And today I'm being joined by, what's your name, ma'am?
April Hensley.
And how old are you, April?
32.
32. And where are you from originally?
Kingsport, Tennessee.
And how long have you been here in Titusville?
About 10 years.
10 years. What was life like in Tennessee? Did you have a large family? Were your parents married?
Yeah, it was good. My parents were divorced, but, we had our mom and dad both in our life, Mom most of the time, dad on the weekends. It was actually kind of better because we had two families, two
Right.
Christmases, two birthdays.
Right. Double the fun, yeah. I had a similar situation. So, how about brothers and sisters? Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have one brother.
Okay. Is he older than you, younger?
Older, 3 years.
Okay. And so you grew up living in your mom's house?
Yeah.
And then you went like to your dad's on the weekends or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what did your mom do for a living?
She repossessed cars and she was a bounty hunter.
Your mom was a badass.
Yeah. Mom, uncle, grandfather, all of them.
Was it like a family business or something? I mean, that sounds so cool. I watched like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
That's pretty much what it was like.
Okay.
But she got to carry a gun, though, because she wasn't a felon. So, yeah.
Oh, real cool. And how about your dad? What did your dad do for a living?
My dad was a mechanic. He owned, it was a Honda specialist, but, he worked on everything.
So they were like middle class, upper middle class? Like, did you ever have like money troubles when you were a kid? Or like, did you guys ever go to soup kitchens or have welfare or food stamps or? No.
We were spoiled.
You're spoiled. You're comfortable.
Yeah.
Newer cars, nicer houses.
I think that's why I started getting in trouble, really, is because when my mom was a bondsman, I knew that I could do, like, anything. And
because you kind of knew how the process worked.
Yeah, so, like, when I would go to jail, I would tell the bailiff, I don't know why you're even booking me in. My mom's going to be here to get me before I even dress out. So you might as well just let me just keep my clothes on, and I don't even need the uniform. And about the time I was saying that, they would be buzzing the door. They would get me.
Let me get something for this to cover this microphone so that it doesn't ruin the sound with the wind blowing. Sorry about this, guys. Okay, so did you ever do that kind of work with them? Did you ever do the bounty hunting stuff? Did you ever?
I was with them on occasion when, because sometimes there would be a situation where they were looking for someone and they couldn't find them, but then bam, all of a sudden there they are. And, like, I remember one time they had just picked me up from school, and they had this big Suburban, but it had a cage in the back. And most of the time they would put me in the back where the cage was, and I'd be back there doing
like a
my
cop
homework.
cage?
Yeah.
Like a regular old?
But it was a big van, So I would be back there doing my homework, and I remember one time my mom was looking for this guy, and she wanted him so bad she was having dreams, nightmares, waking up in the middle of the night. Because I guess the bond was, like, really, really big. And he was, she got him out on child molestation. Oh. And she already had her doubts about doing it, but she needed the money. And then he skipped bond. So it just haunted her that he was going to do it again, and it was her fault.
Yeah.
So she was obsessed with finding this man and putting him back in jail. And then one day, she seen him. We was driving by a trailer park, and I was in the cage in the back doing my homework, and she jumps out of the truck, takes off running with her gun, but forgets to put the car in park. So I'm in the cage in the back, Suburban's still going, Mom running with the gun, get down. But she turned around and seen that the Suburban was still rolling, and obviously she had to run back to the car, and she made it back in and was able to stop it and put it in park. And he tried to run, but she got all that done. I guess wherever
she was a badass.
Yeah, wherever he hit at, she found him. And
so that was your experience with law enforcement on the other side, like on the sort of kind of on the enforcement side, because your mom did bail bonds.
Yeah, they were the good guys. They're the ones that come got you out.
Yeah. So tell me about, like, what was the first time that you ever did something where you were arrested? Like, how old were you?
Well, I was actually arrested. I stole my mother's credit card with a boyfriend and took off to Gatlinburg to all the outlets, Liz Claiborne, Tommy Hilfiger, all that kind of stuff.
How old were you?
15. Yeah. And we maxed it out. And Yeah, she was pissed. I was gone for like the whole night. She didn't know where I was at. And it was like probably the next morning the credit card company called her because, the card.
Abnormal charges and uses.
Yeah. So she put two and two together. And when we came back, the cops and my dad and my mom, they were all like waiting for us pretty much. And we're carrying all this stuff in, and they arrested us, took me to juvenile detention, took him to jail. And
he was over 18.
Yeah.
So why did you do this? Were you in the drugs back then, or it was just a rebellious thing?
It wasn't drugs.
So it was kind of like a rebel thing, or you just wanted to party?
It started out with boys, and then it turned into partying.
Okay.
So yeah, that was just, trying to appease the boyfriend. It took him to get a tattoo and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Young girl stuff, older guys. I mean, it's like very common stuff. So right now, you were telling me that you're currently physically dependent on heroin. How did you get to heroin? Like, did you start out like with a doctor, or was it a friend, or like how did you get to this point?
Well, it started out, a couple of surgeries. I had an appendectomy when I was 16.
Okay.
And then I got pregnant when I was 17 and I had to have a C-section. And, just that kind of stuff, just the normal stuff, being prescribed pain medication. I liked it, I just kept doing it, then it wasn't a big deal to me,
At that time, you were getting it legally? You were getting it through a doctor and stuff?
Yeah, well, just for that short period of time until I healed up, But then I wanted it more, and then, all my friends around me, it was a small town, and, it was different than it is here. It wasn't hardcore like it is here and now. It was more like, like every now and then, pop a pill or whatever. I never even remember even thinking about it.
So it was a very casual thing. It was like a lot of people have a beer on Friday night type thing.
Yeah, I don't even ever remember a withdrawal ever when I was, just taking the pills or what. Not until I come to Florida. Not until after 21. Until I come down here and, started like really getting high and doing drugs. Which was after my mother died, That's kind of...
so your mom's gone now?
Yeah.
How long ago did your mom pass?
Well, I've been on here 10 years. So, about 10 years. Right after she died. I got divorced and lost both of my children to my ex-husband. One of them not even being his, and he knew that she was not his. But he was just so vindictive.
How old were you when you got married?
I was 16.
You were 16 when you got married?
Mm-hmm. 16 when I got married, 16 when I got pregnant, almost 17 when I had my first child.
But you came from a good middle-class home. Mm-hmm. Did you, how did your parents, they sound like really good people. How could they let you get married at 16 and do all this stuff?
My dad was kind of strict, but he didn't really have a say-so in anything because, he didn't have us like my mom did. My mom just let me do anything I wanted to do.
That's surprising, her being a bail bondsman and all this stuff. And
she was real soft. I can't even remember a time that she ever spanked me or anything.
Do you kind of wish now that she was hard with you?
Yeah, I did. Definitely.
Did you graduate high school?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. You're graduating high school. Did you go to high school every day, like a normal high schooler?
No, I went to alternative school.
Oh, okay.
For the bad kids. But I still went every day. It's still the same thing. It's just a different part of the school for a different class of kids, I guess you could say. Mm. The mean ones, the ones that have different issues,
So what was your like as a married woman? What did your husband do for a living?
He was, he was a plumber, I guess you could say. It was a place called Brooks Plumbing, but they specialize in swimming pools, So, that was my first job actually.
So you worked there too? Okay.
Yeah, when they would open the pools up and close them too, I would go in and test the chlorine in the water, the test kits and stuff to see what it needed and what it needed taken out, stuff like that.
So did you guys have a pretty comfortable living?
Yeah, his family had quite a bit of money, and but I was young and I didn't know the meaning of what's the word, not being with other men. What's the word I'm looking for? When you're married?
Monogamous.
Yeah,
most
there you
people
go.
say.
I was still just doing my thing as like I was a single woman. I didn't
like you were a teenager. You were still out there seeing other men, dating,
partying, whatever. I didn't understand what it meant to be a wife and a mother.
So you were sleeping around with other guys, basically.
Yeah, I ended up having a baby with another man while I was married, and he's still got that child right now, today as we speak.
And where are the children at?
With him.
I know, but like what state?
Tennessee.
They're in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And what kind of life does he provide for them? Like, do you know that, for instance, that they're in a safe, warm bed every night? Do they go to school every day? Do they eat 3 meals?
Yeah.
They're clothed. So, I mean, really, they're in a good spot then.
They were in a good spot then, too. You know, that's pretty much why they're there. I didn't pursue trying to get my kids because I knew I wasn't the best thing for them. You know? And I hoped that I would someday become the best thing for them, but it's kind of went more downhill than it has.
When was the last time you've seen your children?
One's almost 16 and the other one is almost 13, and she was 4, the oldest, the last time I seen her.
It's 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So no Christmas, no birthdays, no Mother's Day, no nothing.
I just disappeared. My mom died when I got divorced. I had rights and, visitation when I would go to get him. He wouldn't open the door. I'd call the cops. The cops said they can't do nothing because it's a civil action, not a criminal action.
Right.
Have to take him back to court, hold him in contempt, put him in jail. You know, I got tired of fighting. With him. I would try to go there and bring Christmas presents and listen to my kids, screaming for me, and he wouldn't open the door, and I'd just leave the presents outside the door and just leave.
And so you picked up and you moved here to Titusville?
Yeah, but it seemed easier just to disappear.
And what were things like for you when you first moved here to Titusville? Did you have a job? Did you hold down a job?
No. I came here, actually, met another guy and got pregnant again. And he was in a lot of trouble up north. And my uncle actually signed his bond to get him out of jail. And he didn't want to go to court because he didn't want to face the jail time. So his mom lived down here, and instead of doing that, he wanted to come down here to Florida and go on the run. And I had just had his child. That's my youngest. He actually is down here with his grandmother, his father's mother.
Right.
And I ended up coming with him like a dummy, and got down here, and his mom says, "No, you can't stay with me." I don't know what he was thinking. And here we are with a newborn baby all the way in Florida, and he's on the run. My family signed his bond. My family's freaking out, pissed at me because now they're going to lose this money because I took off with him. It was a mess. And it ended up, they finally called him, and I ended up having a warrant also, which was the first time as an adult I went to jail. And it was because I had co-signed for a television for someone from a rent-a-center, and they sold it. And with me being in Florida, I don't know, they just told the cops that I sold it or that I took it. And I don't know.
So you're charged with theft
Yeah,
of
they
some kind.
just because somebody told them. Come to find out, a co-signer is actually more responsible for the property than the actual person that has it.
Yeah, just as responsible, right, legally.
So when they got him, they arrested me too. First time ever being in trouble, I went to jail here in Florida. Never been in jail before. Knew nobody, nothing. And that's why my son ended up with his grandmother, because of that. And I was extradited back to Tennessee. And when I got there, they released me. They recovered the television, all that good stuff. So charges, I don't know if they were dropped or what. I think it was, I don't remember what it was. But anyway, yeah. And I came back down here, intentions to get my son and go back home, back to Tennessee. But the grandmother didn't want to give him up. So then it was a big old mess with that, and she was on drugs, I was on drugs, DHS or whatever, child custody, got involved, and there was a court date, a hearing, and, if I would have went, and she would have went, they drug tested both of us, neither one of us would have gotten him, the state would have took him, so I chose once again to walk away, And
so where's that child today? Is the child with the state?
No, he's still with his grandmother.
Okay.
Yeah, he's 10 now.
Would you consider where he's at? Is he in a safe place? Is he being well taken care of? He goes to school. He has a normal life.
Yeah.
And when's the last time you'd seen him?
A couple weeks ago. I get to see him when I want to. You know.
Oh,
He has
well, I mean, that's
autism,
good.
but
He does.
he's
Okay.
different. You know.
Is it severe or
No.
no? And right now you live on the streets.
Yeah.
You're homeless. And how long have you been living on the streets now?
Pretty much since I've been here, close to 10 years.
And how?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say. Let me rephrase that. I wouldn't say on the streets for 10 years.
Did you couch surf? You stayed at a friend's? You did this?
Yeah,
you did that?
yeah. I guess
Kind of in between type stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I've had my own place a few times in between there. You know. So.
Did you have employment? Like, what kind of work were you doing?
The only job I've had since I've been in Florida is I got a job at the Kangaroo in Mims, so I worked at that gas station for a while.
So not a well-paying job.
No.
I mean, you know, wow. So tell me about like what your life is like on the streets now. Like, take me through a typical day. Let's say we're usually at it, say 8 o'clock in the morning.
It varies. Just depends on how I feel, and it depends on how much running I've been doing, and how high I've gotten the day before, whether or not I can keep my eyes open, how cold it is. It depends on just at that moment in time.
Well, I mean, like, what do you typically do in a day? Like, you wake up and you're sick and you need to hustle and make money.
Most of the time, I don't even go to sleep, so that way I don't have to wake up and be sick. I maybe sleep 2 days out of the week.
And take little cat naps or whatever here and there. Okay.
Maybe I wouldn't even call it a cat nap. I'd call it maybe a nod.
No, okay. And then so you when you find yourself, well, like what do you do for money? Like, how do you come by money now?
I prostitute.
Okay.
You know, that's basically what my day consists of, is jumping in and out of cars all day and buying drugs.
How many dates are we talking about that you usually have to do a day?
I don't have to do any, but you know.
Right. Well, to support your habit, you do, unless you steal or.
Well,
you know.
A lot of times when you got people that you're dealing with, that you spend money with. Sam, there's days that go by that I don't get picked up at all, you know, and most of the time I can call the dope man and just tell him, I'm sick, I need something, and I got you when I get right, and there's times that don't happen, but I tend to handle the sick thing pretty good. Most of the time I just get drunk.
So you drink too?
Yeah.
Have you ever had any treatment for any of the drugs and the alcohol?
No.
No.
Other than jail, no.
You told me you ended up in the hospital a couple times. You told me that you actually had an infection from shooting the dope.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
It's called endocarditis.
Okay.
I had, shot up and had gotten a bacteria into my bloodstream, an infection. I got real sick, and I fell asleep and woke up and thought that I was dope sick, and I was so sick that I said, God, just please let this go away. I'm going to get through it this time. This is just terrible. I'm not touching nothing. So I didn't. I laid up in the bed for close to a week, and puked, pooped, everything, sweated, all that. It was just, I'm going to go through it, but it just wasn't getting any better, and I got to the point where I was just lifeless, and I remember just reaching over and just feeling for my phone and just started pushing buttons, and the phone connected to one of my friends, and he came to where I was, which was an abandoned house that I was in, alone, and I was passed out. He grabbed me and carried me to the hospital, and I was in a coma for about 6 days. I woke up and was told that I had endocarditis, which was an infection that usually affects the heart, goes to your heart, but in my case it bypassed my heart and went to my lungs, and the infection, where I was laid up in the house thinking I was just withdrawing for about a week, was actually eating away at my lungs, and my lungs were 73% diminished. They showed me x-ray and my lungs just looked like Swiss cheese, like holes all through them. If I tried to, even a half a breath, I just would double over in pain, and on top of that I had pneumonia, so it almost killed me.
And at that time you were being given pain medication from the hospital for that condition?
Yep, they were giving me Dilaudid then too.
And you were in there for how long for this condition?
Close to 2 months.
Okay. And did you ever ask them for help with your drug dependence? Did you ever say, hey, look, I'm physically dependent on this crap. I want to get off of it. I need help.
I cried and begged them to not put me back out on the streets, to find me something, anything, anywhere.
A bed in any rehab,
Because I
anywhere.
knew that was the only way that I was going to be able to do it, is to go from the hospital to where I haven't, they had me on pain medicine, but it was controlled.
Right.
The only way I'm going to be able to do this is if you guys take me from here to somewhere. If you put me back out right now, I'm going to get high. And then they're telling me too that I got to go for IV therapy every 12 hours for like 6 to 8 weeks or months. I don't remember.
Of an antibiotic.
Yeah, I had to have
continue to kill this.
Yeah. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it, and they're telling me I'm going to die if I keep shooting up, and here I am almost dead, almost died, still in so much pain I can hardly walk, no home to go to. How am I going to go out of this hospital like this and survive? And you guys are telling me that I'm not going to survive, but at the same time, you're not giving me a way to survive.
Right. They're giving you no options, no normal, healthy options.
I don't have insurance. I don't have the money. I don't have any help. Mom, dad, both dead. Grandparents are dead. I have an aunt and uncle, a few cousins that I don't talk to at all. I have absolutely not one single person, a relative at all, period, at all in the state of Florida, number one. Number two, the ones that I do have in Tennessee, there's no, I haven't even spoke to any of them in the 10 years that I've been down here, and any of them care less if they ever speak to me. I couldn't tell you what they look like or nothing. My aunt is the only one that I talk to at all that cares in any little way, but even at that, she doesn't have the money to send me to a rehab or anything like that.
How did you finish out this therapy that they wanted you to have?
I never finished it. I was trying to get back and forth to my appointments, and it just was too hard. It seemed like every 12 hours.
You said they give you like vouchers or something for a cab?
Yeah, they gave me cab vouchers to where a taxi would come and pick me up to and from the hospital. But
they would pick you up from a street corner, from a house.
I would call them and tell them where I was at, and they would pick me up wherever I was. But see, the thing is, you got to go every 12 hours. So let's say, I would go to the infusion center during the day, but I'd have to go to the hospital at night because the infusion center obviously is not open at night.
Okay.
So let's say I was late going to the infusion center, which happened a lot. And the infusion center doesn't like you to even come after 2 o'clock. Sometimes I didn't make it till right before they closed. They would still give me my treatment, but then that means if I go at 4 to the infusion center, then I got to go back at 4 o'clock in the morning to the hospital, and that's not my scheduled time. And some of the nurses were just butts, where I was late, and I was a hard stick also, and they hated to see me because they never could stick me.
Right.
They would have to call the lab, the blood people, and 5 or 6 nurses standing around me, poke. So they would deny me. They would tell me, no, this is not your scheduled time. You should have been here at so-and-so o'clock. So when that would happen, that would take one of my vouchers. So now I don't have a voucher to go back. It just became so much of a hassle with the people that I just stopped going. And thankfully, I healed by the grace of God on my own. It still hurts right now. If I take in a deep breath right now, my lungs still hurt.
How long ago did this happen to you?
About 3 years ago.
So there's probably some kind of scarring or something on your lungs. And the carditis, the heart has like a lining around it, and that lining gets an infection and basically prevents the heart from expanding and beating the right way. Wow. So you got that from shooting the dope on the street, and then here you are telling them, I don't want this to happen again. You're treating me for it. Give me an option to get off the street, and they've got nothing for you.
Nothing. I cried and I begged. Caseworker came in, we talked, and they told me that they exhausted every option that they could think of, every resource that they had, and they could find nowhere for me to go. The only choice I had was the Circles of Care detox for 3 days or something like that.
So when's the last time that you have been seen by a doctor?
Other than the emergency room, I couldn't tell you the last time.
Well, when's the last time you went to the emergency room?
I try to do that regularly, so probably last month, because I get abscesses a lot, and some of them aren't even from shooting up. It's from the dirt under my nails and stuff, and from
Well, right. It's dirty living on the street.
Yeah.
Or in abandoned houses.
And I'll get high and start picking at my face. You know, you can see right here.
Yeah, you have a lot of scars and stuff.
Yeah, right here.
And what's going on your chest? What is that on your chest?
I don't even know. It's just...
Looks infected or something.
It was there, and then I keep just poking at it and squeezing it, and it just don't go away.
And you also have some other scars on your chest.
Yeah,
what are those scars?
This was from a cyst. They had to cut out my chest from poking and stuff. And I've got some of my arms, more abscesses they've had to cut out. You know, I've been in and out of the hospital, overdosing, abscesses. I've had so many infections. It's not even funny.
How many overdoses have you had?
3 or 4.
And what have they done with those? Like, have you asked them when you've had those for treatment? Have you ever said, look, you know?
Yeah, it's nothing they can do. And you know, they really hate to see me. I feel like, you know, if it wasn't a law, I don't even think that they would even admit me. They would probably just
Do you feel
let
like
me
they
die.
don't care, or they're kind of sick of seeing you? Or?
Absolutely. And you know what? I would be kind of sick of seeing me too.
Well, it's frustrating for them, you know, that
they're
somehow,
having to take their time
right.
and money for somebody who keeps doing it to themselves.
Well, not only that, but I mean, if you could get, you know, the treatment that you really need, you wouldn't have to do this. You know, I don't know what the solution is. You know, I mean, I'm just one person. I can only do so much. You know, I do interviews. I hope that the people who watch these reach out to me and say, hey, you know, I've got some help. I can help her. I can get her in a facility. I've got some kind of an option. You know, but I even find that there are all these qualifiers. Like, for instance, do you have ID? No, you don't have any ID. You don't have a birth certificate. You don't have your social security card.
The thing that I can do is I have ID on file. This is how I got my job. I have an ID on file with the hospital, so I can go to the business center, and they're nice enough that when I do go there, they have copies.
So make like a Xerox copy and spit it out and give it to you?
Yeah. They'll give me a copy blown up of my ID, and they got copy of my social security, not card, but the paper that they give you stating your name, and you know, the paper they give you when you go to apply for one until you actually get your card. I got a copy of that, and I believe they got a copy of my birth certificate too. So I get copies, but the thing is, a lot of places don't accept copies. You got to have the original to present.
Right. How about other things? You know, you said that a lot of times you trick for money. Have you ever gotten a sexually transmitted disease? Have you ever gotten pregnant?
By the grace of God, no. Well, I have hepatitis C, but I think that's from shooting up.
Okay. So do you get treated for the hepatitis C?
No. I mean, I guess now there is a treatment, but...
Yes, there is. Do you generally... Are condoms used, or do you tell them that you're hepatitis C positive? Like, I mean, it's kind of got to be a hard thing, because you don't want somebody to, like, I guess at that moment not be with you because of that, but at the same time, and you don't want somebody to be violent towards you because of that. Yeah. You know,
I do use protection, but there is cases that, you know, protection is not used. But I am honest, and if they ask, I do tell them that I have hepatitis C. It's something, like I'm saying it right now, you know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's out there. It's out there. And treatment for that, you haven't had any treatment.
No.
And how did you find out you were you had hepatitis C?
Through the hospital when I had gotten sick with endocarditis.
So you've had the hepatitis C for at least 3 years.
Yeah.
Then.
Maybe longer. That's just when I found out I had it.
Have you had any pregnancy scares?
No, my tubes are tied, cut, and burned.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know.
After my 3rd child, I said no more. And that was before all this crap started.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Oh, so your attitude today is like, so basically if somebody were to offer some kind of a bed somewhere, like, would you have any objection going to like a faith-based facility, or? No,
I wouldn't. Depending on what faith-based it was, I wouldn't go. You know, it would have to be like Baptist, Christian.
Yeah, right.
I'm not Catholic or anything, so, you know, I don't think that I would feel comfortable going to a Catholic or something place when I'm not Catholic. You know, other than that.
Makes sense. Well, it makes sense. It makes sense. So, is there anything that you feel that we left out that you wanted to talk about today?
No, I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, okay. Do you have any messages for any friends or family or anyone that sees this video?
I love you guys, and if you can, the help would be much appreciated.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, you guys can reach out to me on Facebook. I am there. You can find me at KEITHWOHR. I also have a Facebook group page called Homeless in Titusville. I'm going to ask her to join that so that you guys can connect with her directly. If you guys have some kind of help or something, I don't know what we can do. We have to, as a society, to be able to do something for people like her that are, in a spot and they need help. They're somebody's child, they're somebody's loved one. These are human beings. These are our fellow citizens, our fellow people on the street. It's just a shame. You wouldn't want this to happen to your son or your daughter or your loved one. But she really needs some help. So, like I said, you guys can reach out. So I guess until next time, may you be just as blessed as you have blessed others. Until next time, thanks for watching.